Welcome to the big show. The big show.
Howdy, ho.
Hello out there on the YouTube land, on the internets. I am Brenden Martin. He's Buddy Martin, and this is the Thursday night edition of the Buddy Martin Show, also known as the Orange and Blue Bloods
Thursday.
I had so many different names and things, but that's okay. It's okay. I'm working on graphics for the Orange and Blue Bloods, and I got some Gator heads working for each character.
I like your graphic on the catch. That's beautiful.
Yeah, well, it's good stuff. You know, I'm a graphics artist these days, amongst other things, but no one cares about that. What they do care about is this show tonight with Ben Troupe, Franz Beard, Loren Meadows. Going to talk about Kentucky. Going to talk about what's happening.
You know what I care about, Brenden? If this were a bourbon tasting contest or a basketball game, I might concede Kentucky should be the favorite. But it's not, Brenden. It's a football game. Florida has played this game many times. They've won it 53 times. Kentucky's won 20.
53.
And they say that Kentucky is favored. The line is shrinking, Brenden. The line is shrinking. Something is shrinking. Up. Yes.
Get to the window. Get your bets. Place your bets as quickly as possible.
Step right up. Get your money down.
And if you are new to this channel, welcome. And make sure you smash the subscribe button. Smash it. It's down here on the right side of the box. Click on it. Hit subscribe. You're going to get notifications. Make sure you turn your notifications on your phone on. Hey, and like the show, leave a comment. We love to have the comments. You have an opportunity to give us a couple of bucks if you think it's really good, and we'll read it on the air as quickly as possible.
You give Perry Mason money. He says, "Looking good, buddy. I should send him $5."
You should probably send him $5, but we don't. But we don't have $5.
We don't have $5. I send him $1.
Yeah, maybe $1, but we'll have to
50 cents.
We got to look into petty cash, but we will do all of that just here in a moment, because first and foremost, we got to play the open.
It's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking, but be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
And dilly dilly, the sign says. So dilly dilly to you all out there in Gatorland. Big game coming up this weekend. I don't know if you've heard of it. Florida plays Kentucky. Going to be a exciting game, don't you think, bud?
I do, but I'm not of the mind it's going to be close. I think Florida's going to win it by about 10.
Yeah, we are going to get in predictions and all that stuff as we are joined by our guests here momentarily. We have a couple of things in the chat room already. Hello, Nat Blaylock, Perry Mason, Tommy Seal, Dan Bond,
Buck
Wade, Becky Carlisle, all that stuff. Michael Burton, our regular crew. Michael Burton says, I would like to know if each guest can talk about the switches on the Kentucky offensive line. No. I cannot.
Franz Beard can. He'll know it.
But that is a Franz Beard question as the day is long, which he'll join us here in just a few moments. Buddy, you're pretty confident about Saturday. And I was curious as to why you are so confident, because everyone else is calling it pretty close. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'd just like to know why you think it's going to be a 10-point ball game where Florida will probably win that handedly.
I don't have any particular analytics for you, but I will say this: I have a feeling. I go by feeling. I wrote about this today. I go by what I feel, and I've been right more times than I've been wrong. This particular game feels like a game where Florida has got to play flawlessly on offense. I think Florida will, and I feel like Graham Mertz is playing terrific football. He's got the best running back pair in the country. His offensive line is now patched up, ready to go. He's got some terrific wide receiver talent. Trey Wilson is going to play. I think the offense is really starting to click now and hum. And you said earlier this week, you're right. You don't want to peak too early. I think this team is starting to peak now. Defensively, the team is really starting to hum. I like what young Austin Armstrong's doing. He's got some great blitz packages I think are really going to surprise Leary. And by the way, Leary has 5 picks. I see a pick in this game. Like David Moulton said last night, I think coming down to the end that Leary's going to put up a ball for grabs, and one of those young defensive backs is going to grab it. I think they'll bring pressure. I think the front seven is playing a lot better. And as Shane Matthews said the other day, Florida is better at all 11 positions on defense than they were last year. So that's what I'm saying. And it's a feeling. I think Florida. I don't think Kentucky has been impressive, in their wins, and they're not even ranked. Florida is at least ranked, and so the line has shrunk. Started off at 3.5. It's now down to -1 Kentucky, and by the time they kick it off, it might be even more. So something is going on. Somebody knows something, and I think Florida has a chance here to get a huge win, move up to another class now. Right now, I'm not a guy who sits around complaining about what other media people say nationally, but quite frankly, I listen to sports talk 4 or 5 hours a day, and I'm not hearing any love for Florida at all. One guy in some offbeat pick show picked Florida to beat Kentucky, and he thinks they're an emerging quarterback. So Florida is in a great position as the underdog. By the way, Billy's record is pretty good in terms against the spread. His record against the spread is this. It's just so it's 17-5-1, I believe it is. So if you want to go for a good bet here, maybe that's the time to pick the Florida Gators. So, yeah, like I said, it's not horse racing. It's not basketball. It's not bourbon. It's football. And the Gators have owned the Wildcats, even though they won 2 in a row, but they've only won 3 in a row one other time in this country, in this series. So the winning streak that started back in the era of Reagan ended in the Trump era. And I think Florida's due for a big upset.
Have you looked at the teams they have beaten?
Yeah,
this season.
Yeah, nothing impressive.
No, because 28-17 against Eastern Kentucky,
and
struggled. 44-14 against Ball State.
Yeah, boy, that's a big one.
Yeah, right. And then their big win was over Vanderbilt, 45-28, which they're not that good. And then you've got Akron, 35-3. So they have not played anybody that great. It's so much talk about their defense having all of this, what they said, signature, and that they know who they are. It looks like they're giving up some points in the last 4 games. So I think that bodes well for Florida and Graham Mertz. I think they are due for another Tennessee-like performance offensively.
They're right. If the Gators go out and smack them in the mouth early, I think they're going to take their crowd out of it, Yeah. So I'd like to see them go out and get a lead.
Yeah, well, and that's the kind of thing that I think, more or less Billy Napier's style calling and offensively is that sort of run them up the gut, smash mouth, if you will, whatever you want to call it. What we saw against Tennessee, because that creates dominance in the football game if you can accomplish it. Now, all 3 offensive linemen are playing that did not play last week. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that will probably fix the run game, and we're going to see a lot of different opportunities for Florida to show some different schemes, I think, this week. And I think that they will be too much for a very below average Kentucky defense. And I agree with you. I think Austin Armstrong has got these guys playing pretty awesome. The defense looks really, really good week in and week out. A lot of people don't pay attention to that, all the average Gator fan. But like Billy said this week in his press conference, other than one bad series, they shut out Charlotte last week, and they didn't look very good whatsoever. So yes, I think we're both looking. I have a closer game because I think it's harder to play on the road. And the only question mark that I have is what kind of team shows up for Florida on the road, because the last road trip did not bode so well.
Yeah, and I wanted to say how I see this developing is like Florida will be ahead by 3, and then Kentucky will throw a pick late in the game.
Well, that's what they're hoping to get. More turnovers defensively. It's only one takeaway all season, I believe it is, for Florida's defense. So, coach says that he is looking for more of that, and I think they'll get it. They're starting to get more pressure in the backfield and doing a lot of the fundamentals things correctly. So, what you got? You look like you.
I was thinking about maybe doing a spot while we're waiting on Ben. Maybe we could do Meldon or somebody, and then we'll.
Oh, you can do it everywhere. Why don't you just do your Titan MRI?
I don't have it here.
You don't have your Titan MRI read?
Yeah, I have that. Yes.
All right. Well, let's do that.
Very short.
All right.
I want to tell these folks who are great sponsors of ours have been. You should know about this. This is if you ever had to get an MRI, you know what this is like, and this is why this is important. Titan MRI is worth a short drive to Gainesville. No insurance is no problem. You can pay cash or card, the same day scheduling. And by the way, it's pretty reasonable too. You'd be amazed. You can start feeling better today because Titan MRI is North Central Florida's premier independent MRI facility. Come see why hundreds of patients are visiting our Gainesville location. Ocala, Marion County, Dunellen, Bronson, Chiefland,
Gainesville,
all these places close by.
Ocala.
Yeah. And they're going up there because Titan MRI can give you a great bargain and a great deal. So check it out from the villages as well as TitanMRI.com.
And walk-ins available, which, by the way, I did give a friend of mine who was taking their mother to get an MRI, so they have to wait. They were booked out. They got right in at Titan MRI, and they got a reasonable deal, and they take all sorts of different insurance.
Yeah.
So check them out. So
correct.
All right, buddy. So all your guys here, were they afraid to come on with me now? They don't want to hang out.
Ben is sometimes late, as we all know. So I'd say if he is, go to good friends, and we'll get him on early.
All right. Well, I can't go get anybody because I'm here.
I can call him if you like.
Car and go and get those guys, but
you know what I mean.
Well, I can't. They've got the link. They know the deal. But you text them, but. Nonetheless, we do want to take the opportunity. There's Ben right now, so we'll just go ahead and bring him in. Hold on a second there, Ben Troupe. Everyone prepare yourself for the Troopster because he is one live wire. We're bringing in. There he is. There he is, shaking his head. There it is. Ben Troupe.
Number 84. Number 1 in the hearts of everybody. Ben Troupe.
I feel like my whole thing is a little better there, where I tell them about their podcast and I bring them in properly. And
not with Ben. No. Here, I want to say this to him. I'm going to tell him up front right here. Look at me. I'm going to tell you this. Congratulations to Ron Acuna. Wow.
See now? See, listen, we need to
wait now. Don't start on me. I just give you a little love.
I want us to clip that and send it out. No. Look, I appreciate it, buddy.
There's no clipping in baseball. You know there's no clipping in baseball. Come on, man.
We always go back and forth with the Rays and the break. But no, I'm super duper happy for Ron Acuna. I mean, 41-70. I don't think that'll ever happen again. But we'll see. But hey, listen, when Buddy Martin give a shout to Ron Acuna, you made it, Ronald. Acuna, you have officially arrived when Buddy.
You better get that on tape because it ain't gonna happen again.
I mean, we still talking about baseball?
You bet.
No. We good. Listen,
This is the thing with me and Ben. We just, by the way, how about a little love for my Rays when they're 97th last night?
Listen, shout out. Shout out to the Rays.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't know who the greatest Rays fan is. I know who the number one Rays fan, who rep them Rays no matter what. That is Buddy Martin. Shout out to the Rays.
Got it. All right. Well, it's Kentucky week. Brenden and I have declared it a Florida win. We think it's time. I wrote my column today about this ain't horse racing and this ain't bourbon tasting. This ain't basketball. This is football. And although Kentucky has won the last two, I think 3 out of 4, don't get carried away. That Nick Saban is not coaching the Wildcats. It's Mark Stoops, a very good team, very good coach. Florida is a better team than Kentucky, I'd say. Ben, what do you say?
I agree wholeheartedly, buddy. I think sometimes we forget a lot of, Kentucky has had to go through a lot of scrutiny. Almost 40 years of losing, and then you see what they was able to do with Benny Snell Jr. and Josh Allen not too many years back, what they was able to do last year with Will Levis and company. Kentucky is always a dangerous team for Florida because of how they play, not who they are as a team. They're going to run the ball, play good defense, but I think that, just like I said last week, my final thoughts about, the Charlotte game, Florida's learning how to win, period. Like, I think we care too much about how it looks. Oh, they should have did it. Did they get the win?
Yeah.
Because the thing about Kentucky is, you're going to go back to, 10 guys on 4th and 1, 10 guys on 4th and goal, when we had Del Rio and company. But I think for me, buddy, I do like Florida coming out with the win because they learning how to win. They learning how to close out games. They learning how to win ugly. They learning how to win. I'll take a not so pretty win than an impressive one any day.
Absolutely.
Only because, buddy, when it's impressive, then it becomes, well, maybe we just was that much better of a team than them.
Right.
But chapter 5 is on Saturday. It's at high noon. Thank God. I'm so sick of all these night games.
Me too, man. I'm sick of those games.
It's at high noon. And, this is a Florida team that we get to see them take another step. Kingsley's back. Wilson is back. You got some key, you got some key guys back. And I think for Florida, it's all about who are we week by week. You weren't the same team week 1 you were as week 2 and week 3 and week 4. I get that. But who are we week 5? Can we take another step? Mark Stoops, look, really, really good coach for Kentucky, taking nothing away from him. But I think Billy Napier, what we said he had to do, buddy, he had to get his signature win. Did that 2 weeks ago.
Got it.
Got that. Now, can you sustain success? See, that's the thing. Getting there is the hard. Getting there is the hard part. Staying there is everything. So I'm looking forward to the game. I think that Florida is a team that's obviously on everybody's radar because of who we are. We need to be on everybody's radar because, how we play. And yes, we controlled the whole Florida game against Charlotte. It's just the scoreboard didn't reflect. I get that part. Run game, defense, take another step.
Kicking game, field goals.
Oh my God, buddy! We said a couple weeks ago that special teams have to become more of a weapon. Well, we got it now. He ain't Eddie Pinero, but who is? But you got a nice kicker, right? You got a guy that can put.
Give it to me from 45 in. I'll take it.
Yeah. So I agree. I agree with you. I agree with Brenden. I think that this Florida team gets to take another step because no matter what, right? Florida lost to Kentucky 2 years ago. Won 2 years ago, lost this year. Utah. I'm sorry, Utah. Utah's going to be a good team again. Kentucky is a team that they head scratchers, right? Because even when Florida lost, you look back on those games and say, Anthony Richardson had his worst game at Florida last year against Kentucky. We get that part. When we lost so many years back, but I know these new players for Kentucky, they got something to say. That's fine. Bulletin board material, whatever you want to call it. Graham Mertz, his ability to not turn the football over.
Solid. Very solid.
Because people get too worried about these box scores, 300 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. No, I'm looking at time of possession. I'm looking at third down conversion. I'm looking at
not turn the ball over. Yeah.
So I like Graham Mertz is a guy that's built for what Florida is doing. And I think that for him, Ricky Pearsall, one of the best receivers in the country. Yeah, I've seen the one-handed catch like 1,000 times by this point. But, and Brenden, I didn't get a chance to talk to you. I didn't get a chance to obviously talk to you after the Tennessee game. I'll be trying to tell you, every week is different.
Oh, he wanted a piece of you last week, Brenden. He wanted a piece of you.
We told
he said you were dodging.
When it comes to Tennessee, it's not so. No, Brenden wasn't wrong with his assessment because you was out there in Utah and you saw it.
I think I was wrong in the sense of the fact that, and I said this, a couple times this week, is that Florida's been slowly, coming from, down here and then going from up here. And, you don't want to peak too early in college football, especially in the SEC. Yeah. So I severely doubted that, understanding of the fact that Florida is getting better and better and better and better. And I think that is going to bode well for them, obviously down this next stretch of of the schedule. But I also, like everybody else, other than on this show, what devalued or gave more value to Tennessee and their offense and what Joe Milton could do and not do, and really just didn't give Austin Armstrong, which has been the major difference, I think, this entire year in his defensive scheming and the defense as a whole. I underestimated all that, but more than anything, I underestimated the power of the Swamp, because I haven't seen the Swamp rock like that in years. And then credit to Billy Napier and his team for the fan experience, right? All that stuff played in a great deal. And I came on, Monday, and I said immediately, well, I was wrong. I'm glad to be wrong, first of all. Second of all, I believe in what Billy Napier's doing because I've watched the guy not get overtly excited or disappointed either direction. He always seems to, sort of take this even keel. And I think that is something that you can hang your hat on as a player and know that, you can make mistakes, big mistakes, but it's expected. And I think this team's getting better and better. Even with the game at Charlotte, you get 5 field goals, you're tuning up your field goal kicker, which could be huge in a game like Florida, Georgia, or at South Carolina, especially on the road. I got them winning by 3 points in Kentucky. So these little things I think have gotten better, and we've seen the problems continue to get better and fixed. And I think that's what's exciting now to watch about what's on the product that's on the field now.
Ben,
let's take. I agree.
Yeah, now, I want to take point by point. I was going to say before Brenden came in about the flaws that we thought we saw in his team and assess how they are. We knew that first we were worried about Mertz. Check that off. Done. We know they got 2 of the best running backs. Well, maybe the best twosome of anybody in the country. Now, they didn't run the ball well last week, but they were missing 3 offensive linemen. Those guys are back. Check. Ricky Pearsall is playing at even a higher level. Now, you got Caleb Banks. You got Trey Wilson coming back. You got those young receivers. I think those young receivers are going to show up in this game. Check. Tight end play has been really good. I think he'll assess that. Check. Just don't turn it over. Don't turn it over. And now we know special teams is better with the field goal kicker being with smacking them through. The defense, those 2 linebackers in the middle are something special. They're really something special. And then he mentioned Derek Wingo. I noticed they praised Wingo today. The secondary's got young, talented. Kamari Wilson couldn't play. He wasn't good enough to beat anybody out. So I think they're getting better. I think the way they're structured the defense, we talked about it with Corey coaching the defense. Although I think you're better, and we love Austin Armstrong. Now, what am I missing, Ben?
I think you're hitting it. I think the thing about it is when you think about this Florida team, everything that was the question mark has been answered. A lot of those things you said before the season had a question mark next to them. Mm-hmm. Now we know. Now the biggest thing we still got to figure out is consistent in the passing game. Graham Mertz gives you a lot of optimism because he doesn't throw it to the other team. Yeah. And when it comes to this type of passing game, when you got Pearsall is the guy. I was happy for Arliss Borningham last week to get him a touchdown. It's figuring out who's going to be that number 2, solid number 2. Who's going to be that solid number 3? Is it going to be individual? Is it going to be, is it going to be a bunch of guys together? But what I like about the passing game is we said this before the season. We said the defense going to be at a, they're going to be at a better pace, or they're going to be in front of the offense. We said, can Graham Mertz pick up the system? Those 2 things are a check. And we said, who's going to be the guy other than Ricky Pearsall? Mm-hmm. Now, up until this point, it's been by committee, right? And that's fine. I like it when it's by committee, buddy, because that means that you got a lot of guys, Douglas and company, and Wilson and company. But what's going to happen when a game gets like last week, but it's a team that has more talent than Charlotte that's going to force you to throw? Hey, man, we're going to take away the run. I want to see that game. Yeah. It could be this week. I hope it's not. It could be on Saturday, but I think everything that was a question mark now has a period next to it, because we can say, okay, we've seen it. We've seen it in different ways. And I feel more comfortable with an elite defense and an offense and trying to find its way, because it's been the opposite the last 3 or 4 years. Offense has been elite. Defense is trying to find its way. And I like the fact that Coach Armstrong knew, hey, man, it's not about your predecessor. It's about what you're doing. He's been the biggest pickup in the offseason was Graham Mertz. Can't do it without a quarterback, and that's taking nothing away from Jack Miller and company. That's taking nothing away from them. But when you got a D coordinator that says, I'm going to get you extra possessions, I'm going to get out the field on 3rd down, I'm going to create pressure for that offense, that gives our offense more possession. So I just like the fact now, Buddy and Brenden, we everything people ask us about, I got to answer. Because before the season, who's going to be the guy other than Pearsall? I don't know. Who's going to be the quarterback? I don't know. How the defense going to look? I don't know. Only thing we can say was we're going to have a good defensive line. We're going to have a veteran offensive line and a good running game. Outside of that, it was a bunch of, we got some good coaches with some good resumes. But now we've had good competition. I'm not counting Charlotte. I'm not counting those guys, the teams that you.
Nothing wrong with Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee.
Tennessee, Utah is going to be in the mix to win the Pac-12 again this year. Tennessee has only lost to us, which sorry, Joe Milton, but you do lose to Florida. Everybody since my senior year that's come to Florida with Tennessee, with that Tennessee Orange always lost, but. I just like the fact that no one game that Florida has won or lost looked the same.
Yeah, one thing Brenden and I heard Shane say, and I have a lot of respect for you guys who played the game. At another level than we know. Shane made 2 really, really strong statements on Monday night. He said, at all 11 positions on defense, Florida is better. All 11. And you might argue about Ventrell Miller, but he said, no, that includes Miller. He said that. And the second thing he said, we talked about quarterbacks. People talk about Mertz's arm. He said, Graham Mertz has a better arm than me or Danny Werfel. That's a strong statement. Those are 2 very strong statements for a guy who played the game at a high level.
He said probably more accurate.
Yeah, he said strong. I would say this, man. I'm never gonna go against anything Shane Matthews said when people talk about what was the key cog of the 90s when it come to Coach Spurrier, it was Shane, because Shane started it up. Yes, Danny Werfel took it to another level. I get that. But I think that what Shane said to Shane is saying, look, don't look at what I became as a player. I'm talking about what I was athletically, like in practice when we seeing these throws. Usually, and you know what's crazy? Usually when you go to a practice, the backup usually does have a stronger arm than the starter. If you go watch, because they got to make sure that if that starter gets hurt, and I hope our starter doesn't. When Shane Matthews is talking about arm strength. Now, when you go back to the Tennessee game, you saw some of them throws. Some of those throws were on the money, but this is the difference. Shane Matthews, look at his receiving core. Dan Werfel, look at his receiving core. So when if you don't think that great quarterbacks throwing the great receivers going to make everybody look good. I'm not saying that Ricky Pearsall is not great. I'm saying he's a one-man band. You get some other guys to just get up to speed, because I think too, when Shane says that too, Shane is saying, just like you, buddy, just like you, Brenden, just like me, I ain't going to lie for him. I mean, just because he got on orange and blue, I'm not going to lie. I don't get paid to lie for him. So when Shane says it, Shane probably watches a lot of quarterback tape. especially if they Florida quarterbacks. And he's just looking at the guy. He probably saw him in person because it's like you said, Brenden, when you and Loren was in person in Utah, you like, dude, I'm right here. And then watching, I'm like, what? It's different in person when you can see it right there. But when Shane Matthews says that about a quarterback, it's not because the quarterback going to hear it. It's because he goes, that's what I see. The kid got a big arm. But he also has what you said, but he has touch. That's what he has. Because guys that got big arms, right, they got to change up. But their fastball is what they use all the time. They like, but I'm just gonna throw it as hard as I can. As a former guy that caught the ball, what made Rex Grossman, as far as the quarterbacks I played with, Jesse Palmer was good. Rex Grossman was incredible.
Catchable ball, very catchable ball.
But I'm telling you right now, Brendan Martin, the prettiest football I've ever caught came from Chris Lee, because he just understood. I didn't. Listen to me, Gator fans. I did not say Chris was better than Rex. I'm saying, as far as touch, Chris Lee got it, boy. I mean, he would put it. When people say, when you got a good quarterback, the football look bigger than your hands. It looked like a big, gigantic inflatable. That's you can't drop it. Chris had touch, and what Chris Lee had to show us one day, coming from Independence High School up there in Charlotte, North Carolina, with almost I know Franz know exact, almost 200 touchdowns passing in his career. What Chris Lee understood was, if I got to throw a guy open, I'm gonna give him a catchable ball. If he's wide open, I'm gonna give him a catchable ball, and he never panicked.
Danny Werfel, same thing. Danny Werfel, perfect touch on the ball. The next year, Doug Johnson comes in, throws an 85, 90 mile an hour fastball. People had a hard time catching it. Why does Danny Werfel start over Eric Kresser? Kresser was the most accurate guy you will ever see throwing a 50-yard pass, but he also broke hands when he did it. Danny, people just caught it.
Well, we saw some of that with Joe Milton a little bit, where you step back, sure, the guy can throw it 90 yards flat-footed, but you got to get that little screen touch pass over a couple of defensive linemen coming at you, or you got to lay in a nice little timing route. I think that's what you see, and I think that's what Shane was alluding to when he mentioned that he's got a better arm, because he's incredibly accurate. And even Billy said on Monday, you go back at some of the incompletions this season, you're going to see some bad patterns, pass patterns, and you're going to see some drops that equate to some of those. So he's probably even better than his numbers, which is it's pretty amazing. What was he in passing, Franz? Like
20 for 23 last week.
But I mean, and I think he was 5th overall in the SEC or in college in D1.
Number 1 in accuracy in the SEC, number 5 nationally. And by the way, our dear friend down at Saturday Down South, Matt Hinton, who obviously knows about as much about quarterback play as I do about flying a 747, blindfolded and with only an owner's manual that's not in Braille.
You did that?
Franz can do it. He can do it.
Maybe.
Okay.
He has Graham Mertz as the number 11 quarterback in the SEC. This guy is brainless. And I'm being kind.
I think Franz is on his case, I believe. I think so. But you're right.
This whole year, the people at Saturday Down South have never given this guy any respect at all. And all he's done is gone out there and proven it. You look at even in the Utah game, the guy's 31 out of 42 for 350 yards. I mean, hey, he would have been better than that if they hadn't screwed up with some false starts and holding calls down there, in the red zone. He wins that game big if we don't screw it up. My goodness, I can't believe that some of these people get paid to have an opinion when, quite frankly, My dadgum parrot can figure out better quarterback play than they can.
Don't insult your parent like
Your
that.
parents,
Yeah, I know. I
Smarter
they're
than that.
really nice.
Ralphie doesn't like you.
Ralphie
She's
doesn't
smarter
like
than
that when you get on him like that.
31 years old and has seen a lot of football from my shoulder.
No
Trust
doubt
me.
about it.
I think he actually writes for you. I think Ralphie's got like the hunt and peck down.
Where do you think the hunt and peck came from?
Hi-yo!
Like me with parrots. Okay.
Speaking of that, about talking about
your writing skills improved.
talking about media, I don't normally do this. I don't bash other media people, but I'm an observer, and I've probably watched 4 to 6 hours a day of sports talk, so I kind of understand what people are doing. Now, I've heard national, regional, whatever, and I have sensed a complete disregard for Florida football. I mean, I heard them today name 7 or 8 teams that might have a shot of winning the East, whatever. Don't even give Florida a breath, not one. When are they ever going to realize this team, if they win, they could be 6-1 before Georgia, and they don't get a mention from anybody. I'm not one of these guys that complains about media or saying that Florida has had to earn it. But now, folks, if they beat Kentucky, don't come jumping on the bandwagon now, okay? Because you ignored them completely, and you've given them no respect, and especially Mertz. Ought to be apologies written to Graham Mertz by some media people.
Get this about Kentucky. Kentucky's opponents have won a grand total of 5 games. Vanderbilt's win over Hawaii is the signature win among among Kentucky opponents. They have played 2 homeless shelters and a convent all-star team that has a transgender quarterback. Okay, that's a fact.
Transgender quarterback.
I'm not touching any of that.
Oh.
You heard it. I said it.
Okay. Well, but to be more specifically, Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Akron, and Vanderbilt.
Not exactly the little murderer's row.
Well, Vanderbilt certainly took their piece out of Florida last year. Let's be honest, but
that was a year ago.
Yeah. Well, look, we're going to see what this whole deal's made out of. I think Kentucky. I agree with Franz. They're not that great in general. So that being said, Florida should have a good showing. As the line, buddy, is the line's what, 2 or 3 now?
No, it's down to
straight up.
Yeah,
-1. All right, so I think people in Vegas are starting to recognize some of that as well. But that's why I think it's going to be a close game, because going on the road is something that is not easy to do in the SEC. But it's a great tune-up game, right? It's a great lead into South Carolina. It's a great lead. Look, it's all a part of the theory is that they are peaking at the right time, or could peak at the right time with these particular games. It kind of lines up for them. They win in Kentucky and make a nice, do a lot of things right. Then you've got a good chance of going into South Carolina doing the same thing, and all leads up to the big Georgia game, right? So, who knows what can go on right now, especially in the SEC. So my question to everybody is that what offensively do you just play your own game here if you're Florida, try to establish a run so you can get the play action, start, getting the ball around, or do you change it up a little bit? And if you do, I'll ask you first, Ben. What do you think you come up with offensively for Stoops and company in Lexington?
No, I don't know. No, I don't think you change it up. I think something that Buddy said earlier. You're getting 3 offensive linemen back. You get a receiver back. No, you run the football. Running the football. What it does is it controls the flow of the game, and whenever you take what the defense gives you. I mean, I don't understand what the fear is not throwing it to Ricky Pearsall. You're not going to cover him. And he understands route concepts. He understands spacing. Obviously, he has, incredible hands. But no, 5th week of the season, you just taking what you do well and try to do it better. Run the football, short, intermediate to deep passing. And once again, you do not throw the ball deep. You throw the ball deep and complete it, but you do it because Kentucky's going to have a lot of guys in the box. They're going to be like, hey, they're going to try to run the football, but no, I mean, and whenever you get a shot, take a shot. That's football. Like, don't try to go – because this is the thing about Kentucky. As a guy that played him 4 years, beat him 4 years in a row, it wasn't like cakewalks when we beat them. Kentucky's the type of team you don't want to give them any type of optimism going into the fourth. But no, you just run the football. You try to get more creative if you can with the play calling. But this is the thing about creativity. You can only get as creative as your personnel allows you to. Because as much as we want them to do more, I don't know. I'm not at practice. So I don't know if they can do more. But I'm going to say this again. If Graham Mertz gets the football, snaps it, and just throws it straight to the left, straight to the right, that is not a football. That's not. I don't care if he's throwing to Ricky Pearsall. Throw the ball vertically, run the football. And this is the thing, dude. Longer drive, we have a bunch of 3 and outs. Because our third down efficiency, buddy, you were talking about earlier what we do. We got to get better on third down, period. I'm talking about across the board. No, run the football. Try to use some creativity in the passing game when you can. And lo and behold, Franz, we have a kicker. Special teams is showing up. You're gonna need all those type of things on the road. Don't get cute with a team like Kentucky. Do what you do. Bring the fight to them. Run the ball. Play action pass when you can. I like to see them tight ends get involved. Not just in the red zone, but in between them 20s. And I think Florida got a good enough shot because, like I said, Florida's defense, they're gonna find a way to get us a couple of extra possessions. But yeah, run the ball. Don't get cute. I'm gonna tell Ricky Pearsall the same thing that Spurs used to tell us. If you stick one hand up, you better catch it, and he did.
If you touch it, you better catch it.
One, if you touch it with one, you better catch it. But other than that, I think Florida has a good enough game plan on offense. It's going to be still 60-40 run pass, and I think they'll be fine. Because like I said, Graham Mertz to me is a guy that, because he's not turning the football over, what you say, 20 or 23 last week? Hey, man, it ain't going to be for 350, but I'll take 20 or 23. It's only 3 guys ahead of him. They got the McCarthy kid from Michigan. You got the Gabriel kid from Oklahoma, and I want to say, and Bo Nix from
Bo Nix. There's one other. He's 5th. But here's
I think Shadur Sanders might be 5th. I think Graham Mertz might be. But I don't know.
But here's the thing, and that Ben's saying is true. You've got an uncoverable receiver in Ricky Pearsall. Now you got Trey Wilson.
Trey
Wilson coming back. I was saying Williamson. Trey Wilson is back. Now you got the underneath guy. Arliss Boardingham, they're going to be looking at him. This guy is a legitimate pass catcher. And he's that guy in the middle of the field that they've got to have. Now, if Kentucky tries to play them 3 deep, which is what they've been lucky. They've been very lucky. They've been playing bad teams. So they've been playing 3 high. You cannot play Florida 3 high and win that ball game. And if they do that, they're going to lose. Florida's key is going to be this. Do what you do. Take time off the clock. Move the ball up the field. I know people don't think 6 and 8 yard plays are sexy. I like them because guess what? You got 4 of those and you got 3 first downs. 3 first downs means even if you can't go any further, you punt the football and the other guys are starting at their 1.
What, buddy? What do you do about third down?
Okay, I got a different take, and I want to give a shout out to our viewers and listeners here. Franz said trends quarterback meaning transfer. Just so you know that's what he meant by that. I also like the guy who recommended that Ralphie have a segment every now and then on the show.
I agree. So, I think Ralphie should do picks.
Yeah, so we should. So, all right, having said that, I got a little different take. A lot of it influenced by Shane, because I do 2 shows a week with him. He says we are a passing team. Mm-hmm. They can't cover us passing. If they come out there with 8 in the box, they're not going to run the football. So go out and look at the receivers. You also got guys like Frazier's, I think, is a terrific receiver. You've got Andy Jean, who's going to be a sensational young freshman. Marcus Burke is back this week. Aiden Mizell, plus Eugene Wilson, Caleb Douglas, and Ricky Pearsall. You got some receivers, not to mention the tight ends. So if it's there, go for it. Go for it and take what they give you. Then try to score, and what did Coach Spurrier do? Score early and then keep the ball and run the ball. That's what I think they ought to do. Get a lead, score, and then run the football and play good defense. Anyway, so I think that's my opinion, and I think that's what I like to see them do.
That's your answer for third down, because that's
Third down doesn't matter. It's just like the red zone. Like Shane said, if you throw it from the 30, you throw it to the end zone, you won't have that crowded red zone. Try to score from the 30. There's other ways to do this. It's not the same. So I tend to go with Shane. I think he knows a little bit about playing quarterback, and I'm taking his advice on that. So.
All right. Well, I think you should be Shane's new agent. That's what I think.
I might
Shane,
be.
right? I think you and Shane got like a deal going. Hey, there he is, Mr. Loren Meadows. Welcome to the big show, Loren. I like your headset. Looking live. Hopefully you're
good shirt.
About 30.
Good looking shirt.
How are you, Coach? Your internet's not so awesome. There you go. Your internet's sort of cutting in and out, so we'll put you in a smaller box there. But we're doing celebrity squares. We'll put Ben up here. Loren, welcome to the broadcast tonight. Do we have a trivia question from Loren tonight? I don't know if we did or not.
We didn't have it. Yeah, you didn't make it back from games at the time.
Yeah, you were too busy hobnobbing in there. Is what the problem was. By the way,
not me.
We can hold it. We can hold it. But no, I'm doing good. All right. Good. Well, big week for the Gators.
Yeah. Well, just to bring you into the conversation a little bit. Just talking about what Florida needs to do offensively. I asked Buddy, what do you got to do on third down? Buddy said it doesn't matter about third down if you're doing everything else sort of correctly. Ben, and I, for me, I'm more about, well, okay, if you're going to look at some of the issues, third down's an issue, red zone's an issue, third down in the red zone's a big issue. Is that more an offensive play calling problem? Because if you're not getting it up the gut, it seems like Billy still tries to get it, those hard yards, those hard 2 or 3 yards. What do you think, Loren?
I really think
Loren,
that, I mean, if you just take hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I said, if you take last week's game, I think it just was the absence, and Franz hit it on the nail a couple weeks ago. I mean, the difference that both Kingsley Aguakin first, and then the absence of Micah Mazuka, I think was palpable. I mean, you could really see it in the run game, and I think when you get those guys back this week, the best football they played was when Kingsley was man in the center position against Tennessee. And I think you're going to see a difference. So, I mean, coming out of the Utah game, and keep going back to the Utah game, but I thought there was a disconnect a little bit in the play calling. But once you kind of put Kingsley in the, in the mix, and also Eugene Wilson actually featuring him as part of some of that motion game and some of that quick game, and him being able to just get out on the edge and really present problems, I think really opened up the running game for the Gators, and it was very evident against a really good defensive front in Tennessee. So, I mean, I'm almost, and I wrote about it in my piece. I think, Kingsley's return to the lineup, I think it's really a personnel issue, and they've got to have that unit, in play, where with Kingsley at center and Michael Mazuka to his right. I think that will clear up a lot, and I really think that Florida is going to continue to improve on offense as long as those guys can stay healthy.
Kingsley is the key to that offense, and a lot of people don't realize that. You got the guy up front now, and I've said this before, and you guys have heard me. He's always going to have help with a big nose tackle, always. He's not one of these guys. He's not Marquise Pouncey, who could deal with any nose tackling in the country one-on-one. He's not that guy. But here's what he can do. He can get the other guys in the right spot with help for him, and you're not going to have mistakes. A year ago, the Gators were one of the best teams in the country at fewest sacks allowed. I think they were like 6th in the country until they gave up 4 when they had missing pieces at the bowl game. And they were like, I think 5th or 6th in the country, averaged 5.53 yards per carry running the ball, which was, again, top 5 in the country. You get those averages, those numbers don't lie, folks. It's kind of like that idea of yards per pass attempt. Graham Mertz is averaging 8.8 yards per pass attempt. You know, you think about that. That includes your incompletions, that you're averaging 8.8 yards. So every time he throws the ball, on the average, the Gators are going to gain almost 9 yards. The sacks allowed, yards per pass attempt, yards per rushing attempt are the 3 most important offensive stats in the country, period. And we do those well.
Well, I wanted to bring this. Yeah, when Kingsley's in there.
Kingsley's in there. Yes.
I agree. And I wanted to bring this up. I've been so hard on Billy this year. I wanted to say the interesting thing about the Charlotte game, which I thought we saw Billy Napier grow up as a head coach in the SEC, or at least the Swamp. I know he's following the numbers and you know, like it's Moneyball these days, but I know he's always done that. But, you know, he showed a lot of patience and I think poise as a head coach to kick field goals when he really wanted to go for it on 4th down. I thought that was a coach that's sort of grown up. We're going to get our 3. We're going to get out of here. I wanted to know what your group thinks, and I'll start with Ben, and then we'll work our way around.
Sounds to me like a guy trying to get back on the bandwagon after jumping off of it a couple of weeks.
Hey, why don't you just stare at your phone somewhere? Right. All right, I think you got some text to make. Okay,
but thanks for popping so in. You know, pals, about you, just in case you want to know.
Well, it's probably Shane. So, you guys were talking.
Since it does say the Buddy Martin show, I will speak. Okay, I'll go ahead and speak at this point.
Oh boy, buddy. Oh my God.
Here's what I want to know. Wow. What I want to know. Yeah, I'm pulling rank. What I want to know is.
Rank. I'll shut him off. It's easy.
Good night, everybody.
There he is. There's guys. He's out. He's out.
So, as I was saying, as the host of the show, I was saying that I would like to know, in terms of how this win projects, how much value this could have to this team. Are we talking about just another good win? Are we talking about going 6-1 and lighting on fire? Are we talking about a team who might have a chance to beat Georgia? How much does this game mean in terms of Billy Napier right now? Franz.
I think Billy is rock solid. I think he gets up there and wins this game. I think it will dispel one notion, which is that Mark Stoops is the greatest genius since Amos Alonzo Stagg. Good football coach, no doubt about it. But folks, let's get real. Why does he turn down all these bigger, better jobs? Because he's at a job he can't get fired from by going to the Music City Bowl. You go to the Music City Bowl 3 years in a row at Florida, they'll can your butt. You know, he's a good football coach, no doubt about it. Billy Napier has it in him to be a great football coach. He's getting there. He isn't there yet, but he is getting there. And how's he getting there? Because he knows how to win. And, you know, it's kind of like what was just said. He was patient last week. He was willing to take points, you know, against a team he knew he was going to win. He got his, what did he do out of that? He got his field goal kicker 5 field goals. That kid maybe needed to kick one to win a game.
So it's a big game. You're saying it means a lot down the road, and it could be significant in terms of Florida's future. Ben, do you agree with that?
I do. I mean, it's growth. It's growth. It's a huge win because it's the next game. And the thing about a guy like Billy Napier is we're watching him more than we watching anybody. Like, we watching him more than we watching Graham Mertz. We watching him more than we watching the receivers. We watching him more than we watching the defense because he is the common denominator. If it's good, he's gonna get all the praise. If it's bad, it's gonna come back to him. Right? So I think it is huge. It's huge for Billy because he's building a culture. I didn't understand culture when I got to Florida because it was already built. I just walked into it. But when Ron Zook got there, I saw what it means to build one. It's building cultures for players and coaches. I got to get these players to buy in. And for Billy Napier is, buddy, you said it earlier. I mean, what Franz was talking about, Saturday down south. So it's so many people that got, something to say about Florida, but you only gonna respect the ones that make sense with what they're saying. You can't be top 5 in completion percentage and be the 11th. Come on, like get out of here with that nonsense. I just think for Billy Napier, take another step. And what I appreciate the most about Charlotte was he didn't care. He wanted to win. See, other coaches, they care about how it looks. I get it. I'd rather win ugly than light up the scoreboard and lose. Yeah. He said, hey, man, let me show some growth. Hey, kicker, come on. And like I said, if you the Charlotte 49ers, you saying, dude, Florida didn't score against us on offense and we lost? What?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And that's like, think about USF last year. If they could make a kick, they probably beat, but they didn't. I think Kentucky is always a good barometer for Florida because Kentucky plays Florida tough. But I do think that Billy getting another win, it's like this. Look, when you win games, it's easy to go back to work, man. It's easy to go back to practice. It just is. Because we can be like, I'm really listening to what coach. When you lose, man, I got an attitude.
On that note right there, on that very note that you just said, Loren, Brenden and I were in Gainesville with Urban. By the way, Urban on tomorrow. We're going to have him on in the morning to do the best Fridays of football. Urban said, you have no idea what it's like when a coach loses a game. You all think it's just a loss. It changes the coach's life completely. It's like life and death to a coach to lose a game. And, people forget that that's what it is, what it feels like. Loren, you coached a little bit. You know what it's like to lose a game when you lose a close one like that. It is kind of feeling like life and death, isn't it?
Yes, sir. I mean, I did coach, and I was an assistant at one of the top football programs in the state of Ohio. And when we would lose, which wasn't often, it was a really rough Saturday and Sunday. I mean, it was depressing. You don't want to watch the film. You don't want to look at the kids. It's tough. And I get that, and especially when it's all that money on the line and just all the boo birds and everybody that comes with losing, particularly like Urban Meyer when he was at a program like Florida and then at Ohio State. I mean, those things they just roll with you. And, I think that, like to echo what Franz and Ben said, in this world of the SEC, you got to go on the road and you got to win games in hostile environments. And the pressure that comes with that is immense. But in order to get it done at this level in this conference is what you got to do. So, I think that it shows, like to Franz's point, it shows growth in Billy Napier. And then to Ben's point, it shows that the program is getting back to the point where they can go on the road, travel, and get it done. And, should there be a loss, it's a third straight loss to Kentucky for the first time since I think we were fighting in Korea at the time, and as a country, and it will be tough. Will it be the end for Billy Napier? Absolutely not.
No.
But what will come with that is, it will test his mettle as a coach because he will have to step to the podium,
right?
And what will be looking him in the face is what you deal with.
It's a huge
program at this level.
It's a huge deal for sure. All right, so Brenden, you take it from here. We got a spot on getting on Meldon, and you finish up what we need to do. One final question after that, or what?
Well, I just want to get everyone's picks. It's getting down to our time here,
okay,
and
well,
we always
have
do
two
our
commercials
picks.
to those. So, what do you want to do?
Well, we can go. Why don't we just we'll take a quick break, real quick. You guys will hang. We'll go a little long because we did miss on Tuesday for the really cool thing up in Gainesville. So we're going to hear from Meldon Law, and we'll be back right after this with our picks and final thoughts.
Getting back to Swamp Kings, I think I was impressed. I really didn't understand how hard he worked, how hard Urban Meyer worked at getting that team ready to compete in the SEC and on a national stage.
You think maybe Gator fans will value their championship legacy just a little bit more now?
I hope so. I never got it. I didn't understand why people didn't say, take Urban at his word when he said he was really sick. I understand that he went back, to Ohio State, but he did take a year off and do his ESPN thing. And it's in your blood when you're a college coach. It's almost like you're willing to sacrifice your life in order to have the ability to lead a team to a national championship.
No doubt. I'm going to issue an invitation to you right now. Urban's coming to Gainesville the week of Vanderbilt. And I'm going to take him out to Spurrier's for bite to eat, and you're invited. How's that sound?
I would love to do that. Actually, his daughters both won the Meldon Law TV 20 Scholar Athlete.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And so we got to know the family a little then. And, I'll tell you, Urban really should be admired by Gator fans, and they should understand that he was here for 6 years? 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
6 years. Nowadays, that's a long time in a coach's career, right?
Exactly right.
They're like, oh, he jilted us. It was like, my girlfriend dumped me,
Oh, Jeffrey Meldon, we talk over those 5 minutes. You never mentioned law one time.
Yeah. So anyhow, we are really excited at Meldon Law. We've been getting a lot of calls from people who already have cases that are asking us for second opinions.
Yeah.
And I think
want to talk to you about that next time we're on the air.
Meldon Law, they will not back down. Thanks to Jeffrey Meldon for that. Gentlemen of the Orange and Blue Blood Brotherhood, something. I'm working on Gator heads for all of you, by the way. I got one with Ben that's got a hat on. And I got to get Franz at the Iron Duke. I'm working with AI on this whole thing. Excuse me. But, it doesn't matter. Whoever wants to jump in first, let's do our picks for Saturday. Obviously, give me a score and maybe your brief synopsis if you so choose. We'll go Loren, then Ben, then Franz and Buddy.
Prediction?
Loren? Yeah, prediction and score.
Florida wins 24-20.
Got a rationale why?
Defense wins the day. I think Devin Leary has thrown a pick in every game, at least one pick. I think Florida picks him, and I think better quarterback wins the game, and I think Mertz outplays Leary. And the defense,
I agree.
And
I agree with that. Yeah.
And the defense gets a turnover, and that's the difference.
Ditto that for me.
You got to ditto that? Is that what you just did?
Yeah.
The 80s called. They want their word back. We're gonna go with Ben. Ben,
well, Brenden, we all can't be hip and be 2020 like something.
See, sometimes we just gotta shut them off like that. It's like rounded the horn right there. I just could take him off. See, this see if he's learned his lesson.
See you later. I'm going. Good night, folks.
See, I got power.
It is
Ben,
power.
go ahead. I got Ben. Ben,
Make sure you get a job is what you need to remember.
Okay, you're done.
Man, give me man. I see us getting some late score. Give me 30, give me 31-21 Florida. I do agree with what Loren said. I mean, Devin Leary, he's a guy he gets happy feet sometimes, back there in the pocket. I see Big Dez and Cam pushing the pocket, Prince and those guys getting to him. I see us getting Jay Marshall and BB's getting a big pick six maybe, and I just see us taking another step in the passing game. I think Graham Mertz is not appreciated enough for what he doesn't do. And that's turning the ball over, getting some guys back, got them tight end 30, give me 31-21. Florida with a big dub, man, going to 4-1.
He's Ben Troupe of 84 Reasons Podcast. Thank you, Mr. Troupe. You're always insightful. Your energy level is usually like at a 10. You're like at a 7 tonight. You're like,
Hey, listen, at the end of the day, Brenden, I can always give you some energy. Listen, I just as long as you and your dad go back and forth, whenever you can cut. I wish I could cut my dad off. I wish I could get him off. It probably wouldn't be good.
Hey, man, I've earned the right. Ben Troupe, you got to check out his podcast. Good stuff. Ben, have a good weekend. We'll see you next week. Goodbye to Mr. Troupe. Loren, by the way, I wanted to say just those folks, if you check him out on GatorbaitMedia.com. He's a regular columnist there, contributor. Thank you, Loren, and we will talk to you this week. Are you going to the game, Loren?
No. Hopefully, you guys are coming up here to see me. You didn't get my invite?
No, I didn't.
Check your Facebook.
If you sent it to Buddy, he probably just didn't.
I sent it to you too, but yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. No. All right. Yeah, both we might take you up on that for sure. I'm gonna come fix your streaming stuff up there for you anyway. So bring on that.
Absolutely.
He's Loren Meadows. Thank you, Loren. Mr. Beard, just you and I left here tonight. I like my new round the horn tools. I wish I could just freeze frame them and do the black and white thing. That would be great. Franz, give me a little bit more here as far as the why and sort of why obviously you're going to pick Florida to win, but how close is this going to be and what's this going to look like?
I think Florida is going to dominate the ball game. I think it might be close in the first half, but I think in the second half, Florida is going to dominate the ball game. And I think Kingsley Eguakun at center makes a difference. I think the right side of Florida's line grinds and pounds on them. I don't think they're going to be really. The other thing is this: Kentucky doesn't run the ball well. They really don't. You take away 2 gimme plays in their last ball game against Vanderbilt, and one of them, Vanderbilt was unlined up, and they made about a 50-yard run.
Yeah.
You take that away, they only average about 2.5 yards a carry. They're not that good running the football. And you're not going to run a football with Caleb Banks, Cam Jackson, Will McClellan, and Desmond. Desmond. Big Des is just too common. He's got to have a better name than that. D-E, capital S-M-O-N-D, Desmond Watson. The man in the middle. The big guy, the eclipse, I think Florida's big guy rotation is unlike anyone they've had in the last 4 years. People say, well, look what Kentucky's run the ball on in the last 4 years. Florida hadn't had a defensive line like this in 4 years with this kind of size up front. They're not going to run the football, and they're going to be one-dimensional. I see Sammy in the background. Sammy is very cool.
Oh, yeah. He's all
I
over
like
the place,
Florida, 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals, 27 points in this ball game. I like 27-14. I really
27-14.
I think close for a half. Florida takes it over. Let me throw one other quick thing in there before we go. I coached girls basketball. I had my team at the Nationals, my team with Gainesville and Ocala girls at the Nationals in 1981 in the semifinals. We lost that ball game because I did a rotten job. I made a bad mistake on changing a defense. And as a result, we got lit up by a girl named Marcy McAllister in the fourth quarter, and we end up losing a ball game by 5 points. I still haven't gotten over the fact that I blew that game. Coaches do that. And so, folks, I would like to ask every one of you that's listening, understand this. This is coaches' lives that we're talking about. We think of it as a game. For them, it's their life. Give them a little bit of slack sometimes. Okay.
I can't with the paychecks. I think is where I get lost.
I
hear what you're saying.
I think people say, well, they're getting paid $7 million a year. They didn't hold a gun to the other people's head to say, you give me $7 million or I'll just stay here making $400,000 at the job I'm at.
Well, I'll tell you, what goes in a big deposit of that is winning your rival games. And I think with me, even, that Tennessee game, you bought you a lot more time and respect and understanding that he is building something special and something that could be around for a very long time. And look at what's happening in the recruiting world, which is very exciting, which we talked about quite a bit this week. Some big names are going to be here this weekend. My God, there's like 14 players, not this weekend, but they're going to come through. Florida's 13, 14 guys going to come through. So, it's going to be exciting to see and see if they can come home with a big win. He's Franz Beard, by the way. You find him almost every single day on this place here called GatorBaitMedia.com. We're still running a use code WINNING to get 20% off your all access annual membership, which is a great deal. And you get to read thoughts of the day amongst other things that from Franz. And he doesn't just cover football. The guy covers basketball. He covers softball. He covers golf. He covers it all. And he is always, his thoughts of the day is regular reading for members of the media to start their day and know what's going on. So check it out right now at GatorBaitMedia.com. He's also my friend. I bid you adieu, Franz, and I owe you a phone call, so I'll call you probably later.
All right. That's good.
All right, Franz. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for bringing it. And that's going to do it for me tonight, except I would like real quickly to tell everybody who's listening and say thank you to one of the best sponsors that we've ever had and on this program, Renstar Medical Research, with proven reputation as a high-quality, patient-centered clinical research facility. Renstar Medical Research brings cutting-edge clinical research trials to Ocala in areas such as Alzheimer's disease, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraine, and fibromyalgia, along with many other conditions that affect our community. Since its inception in 1998, Renstar has participated in over 700 clinical research trials and continues to partner with prominent pharmaceutical and biomedical companies throughout the medical industry. Renstar Medical Research has a proven reputation of providing high-quality clinical trials. Check them out right now at renstar.net. And thanks to everybody who's watched the show tonight. Thanks to everybody who's brought it all week. Always a pleasure. You all make the show. Check us out. Hopefully this weekend we'll be doing some post-game stuff. We'll be posting a lot more shorts and stuff like that around. Make sure you check out the subscribe button on the bottom right. You know, a lot of people don't know you can find us on Facebook at The Buddy Martin Show, at Gator Bait Media. We're very, very active there as well. So good night to all you folks. David Arnoff, Buck Wade, and Bond. Michael Burton. Let's see. You guys are all the ones commenting. Well, good night to all of you all, as we will probably hopefully see you guys this weekend, either for a pregame or a pregame and postgame show. You never know around here when and where we're going to pop on live on the weekend. So I'm Brenden Martin. I say I love you to Buddy Martin. I know, even though he's gone, probably eating bonbons and watching baseball. But I love you nonetheless. That's Sammy, the dog down in the corner. And you see the Stella, the soccer star, walking around here. She's got 2 games this weekend, by the way. Two soccer games. Going to go to Orlando for one of them. So thanks for joining us. We will talk to you soon. And as always, go Gators.